Hello and welcome to the Through the Pain podcast. This is a place for chronic pain and chronic illness warriors to dare, dance, and dream through the pain.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great episode of the Through the Pain podcast. Today, I have another warrior interview, and I'm so glad we're going to chop it up with Dana Kiwacz. She is a life coach, a sickle cell warrior, business coach, and she does so much in spite of sickle cell. She's doing it all through the pain. So welcome, Dana. Thank you for joining me on the Through the Pain podcast.
Thank you, Dima. So nice to be here. And I just wanted to really say, I really appreciate you having me on your show. And I hope that our time together is a blessing to others that are going to be listening in.
I know it will be, because you have graced us with your presence and you are a fellow survivor and warrior. So again, thank you. I'm going to just get right into it and ask if you can share a little bit about your sickle cell journey. Diagnosis, and if you want to talk about your evolution with sickle cell disease.
Sure. Yeah, great question. So I was diagnosed at 6 months of age. I am the youngest of 4 siblings. So as you know, when both parents have the trait, there's a 50-50 chance. And I was the 50-50 chance. So out of the 4 children, I have the full-blown sickle cell SS anemia. And that meant a lot of limitations, a lot of doctor visits, and it came with almost like an expiration date. So what I mean by that is the doctors, much like you've had, I'm sure, would tell my parents, so she's not going to live past the age of 6. And if she makes it past that, she won't live past teenage years. And so it was always kind of a bleak outlook. There were no therapies for treatment for sickle cell. I had intense pain. We had an in-ground pool growing up, which was so much fun, but it was also the source of pain for me. So every time I'd swim, the cold would trigger a crisis, and I would get into a hot shower and try to fight it as fast as I could. And if I couldn't, that meant a trip from New Jersey, where I live, all the way to Philadelphia, Children's Hospital, where the experts were for sickle cell. And so when I was 6, I did nearly die. I had a really bad crisis. I guess my mom explained to me that we were out like at a revival somewhere in upstate New York, and any high elevations cause a crisis for me. And so I had a really bad one. And when they rushed me to the hospital, the doctors had told my parents that was pretty much it. And I remember during that time, I had seen a hand come towards me to take me to heaven. And I said, no, I don't want to go. I want to stay with my mommy and daddy longer. And he said yes. And so when I woke up, I explained to my parents what had happened. And my mom said, Dana, if Jesus ever comes for you, you take his hand, it'll be okay, and we'll see you on the other side. And I said, there's no way I'm doing that, because I wanted to stay with my parents and I wanted to live life. I was just naturally curious for what life was about. And so I had that second chance granted to me at a young age, and it reshaped how I looked at a lot of different opportunities that came my way in life. And it spurred the natural curiosity that I had for people, for science, languages, cultures, everything I could get my hands on, I wanted to learn. It also spurred my curiosity around human behavior. And I'm sure, Dima, you've had the experience of different treatment in different emergency rooms. And I always wondered why some doctors would care for me like I was their own child when I was in a lot of pain. And other times, other physicians or healthcare professionals would leave me in pain and treat me as less than human. And so that spurred a lot of my curiosity into human behavior and sickle cell specifically, and what stigmas were associated with sickle cell and the healthcare disparities that we face on an everyday basis. It's not just me, we're in this all together. And sadly, it's still ongoing. And it's something I'm really passionate about advocating for at the local level with legislation, and also at the Hill. So that's a little bit of my journey. I'm grateful to my parents for giving me as normal as a life as they possibly could to equip me with the belief that I could do and conquer anything. And I now pour that same belief into others, whether their pain be sickle cell, or the pain of just defeat to their own self-limiting beliefs, that they can do and accomplish whatever they set their mind to. It's just really critical to manage your mind so that you can fulfill the future, and the future vision that you have for yourself. So that's a little bit about my journey with sickle cell.
I'm so glad that you are here, you're alive. I feel that you are a miracle. I think everyone with sickle cell disease is a walking testament and testimony, and we're living miracles. I just wanted to highlight or go back to something that you said when you were talking about your journey. You mentioned the pool, which
Yes.
is a source of fun, but is also a source of our most painful crises. But you also mentioned having to travel from New Jersey to Pennsylvania just
Yes.
for care. I wanted to go back to that because what I just don't understand is, and I want to kind of try to figure out now, are all the states not able to take care of sickle cell warriors? This is a little bit of a little problem here if you have to travel all the way from New Jersey to Pennsylvania. You said Philadelphia specifically.
Correct. Yeah.
So Philadelphia was the center of care, I'm assuming?
Yeah, Children's Hospital is a famous hospital where a lot of the experts were for sickle cell disease, because to your point, unfortunately, in New Jersey, I say it's the crisis of suburbia. Sickle cell in the suburbs is a blog that I'm eventually going to write, but there's very little access to care here in terms of people who actually are familiar with sickle cell. Many of the hematology oncology physicians that I see, they practice 99% oncology and 1% hematology. And even the practice I am a patient at, they no longer even accept sickle cell patients. So my parents, I mean, this is present day, but back in the day, now I'm 39, but back in the day, my parents had no options. And so the only option was to go to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour and 20 minutes without traffic from here, every time I had a major crisis. And if we had gone to local ERs, the outcome was not very good. So they felt that that was the best in terms of knowledge and care and what to do. They had set protocols for what to do when someone is in crises with sickle cell, versus other emergency rooms had no standardized approach, and you could be left in pain. So it could go from a simple emergency room visit to a really expensive hospital stay. And most importantly, the expense it costs on your organs and your body when everything is in crisis and your blood cannot flow and oxygen can't get where it needs to get. And so they were just tired of having to deal with that locally in New Jersey, and just would every time go to the experts when we could get there.
And how long was that drive?
Hour and 20 minutes without traffic.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yes.
Now, when you would arrive at the Center of Excellence, would you have to wait in the emergency room, or would have to wait to be seen on top? I'm just trying to figure out time on top of that hour and plus ride. Like, what was the time between I'm having a pain crisis to I'm being seen?
Yes. Thankfully, there, when I was younger, my mom would call ahead of time and let them know. And I saw Dr. Frampong, who's still a great physician today, and they would pretty much have everything ready to go for me to get right in and be seen. It was more as I became an adolescent, that was the worst, transitioning from pediatric care into adult care, or even adolescence, where I would really have to wait, especially if I went on the New Jersey side to the emergency room, or if we were traveling, which we did frequently, and you're visiting a different emergency room. They would literally wait and they would test my reticulite count to make sure that I was actually in a pain crisis, because they wanted to make sure that I wasn't there just to receive narcotics. And so that was pretty standard. I would have to wait, and the pain would, as you know, escalate. And then it's okay, yeah, it looks like your blood test results are showing that you are really in pain. So we'll take you back and give you some fluid, oxygen, and, painkillers if necessary.
So the thing with that is our blood counts really don't tell if we're in pain. I'm having a little bit of a problem about
Yeah.
what is presented. Because, um, there's no way that our blood count could say we're in pain. Um, was there a time where that you did the test and they said, no, you're not having a sickle cell crisis and you're drug seeking? Was there ever a time that you ran into that problem?
No, so actually they standardly would do that test to look at the how quickly things were breaking down.
Mhm.
And when every time it would show according to their diagnoses, oh, she really is in acute pain. And
Mhm.
so the problem was they would secretly decide what they were going to give me. So my mom and I, and whoever was in the emergency room at that time would say, why is she still in so much pain? Why is it still escalating? And that's because even though they would speak to my hematologist and find out this is exactly what she needs, it's how many milligrams she needs to get ahead of the pain, they would say, yeah, we see she's in pain, but we're just going to do our own thing. And they would use whatever their own self-determined protocol would be. And sometimes that's because they believed that with the stigma of sickle cell that, oh, she might just be drug seeking. So let's just give her something to take the edge off the pain, but not really give her what she responds to innately. And as you know, each person responds to therapies different. That's what makes us unique. That's how we've been created. And some people respond to different therapies. But when you have sickle cell and you know your body and you know it works, unfortunately, you're left in the hands of that provider to determine if they're going to actually give you that.
So usually I hear a lot about this bias that you're speaking of as an adult. It sounds like that this was happening when you were a child. And
Yes.
that this is astonishing to me. This is pretty new to me. Do you still receive that treatment now today?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I was just recently pregnant, and pregnancy triggers crises for me more often than I would normally get a pain crisis. And I've had to go to the emergency room and told the doctor flat out, this is what she responds to. My husband was with me because it's really important to always have an advocate, as you know, to speak when you can't speak or when you're in so much pain. And I called my hematologist, and the ER doctor was like, what are you calling your doctor for? You're going to take what I tell you you're going to take. And I said, excuse me? And I literally thought I was in like a hidden camera show. I'm like, she was so rude and so nasty. And who refuses to call your treating physician to find out what you normally take and what you respond to? But she didn't want to. And in fact, even in that case, I waited over an hour and a half just to get an IV fluid, which for me, just getting the IV fluid and hydration is 90% of the battle before I need anything else. And especially being pregnant, I like to do as much as I can without having to take narcotic. And so that was my plan, but they barely gave me the IV fluids. And then once it was time for pain medication, she refused to speak with my hematologist and find out what I responded to. She flat out said, you're going to get what I give you. And if that doesn't work, then we'll see if I can give you what your hematologist wants, but you don't just come in here telling me what you respond to. So that was just a few months ago.
Okay.
Yeah. Very upsetting.
This is a little bit of astonishing to me. I know we're taping a podcast, but I'm trying to be calm. Because there's a little hood Dima in me that's like, no, she didn't. And I'm trying to be very, woo-saw about what I'm hearing right now. Because it's 2022.
Yes.
And you are an intelligent, accomplished woman, and you're going to the hospital and presenting, and you're saying that you're in pain and you're not being believed. And it's still something that occurs, and it's outrageous. And if they look in your chart, it's you don't present as a drug seeker. You do
Correct.
not. In fact, I don't even like the term drug seeker.
Mhm.
One of my colleagues said, yes, you are drug seeking because you're in pain. You need to seek the drugs because you are in pain. However, you're not, and that you're not an addict.
No.
You don't present as an addict. So, and you don't have addictive behaviors or qualities. So it's just, I'm finding it very, very disturbing that you had to go through this. And this is something that you're still having to deal with in this day and age.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to shift gears a little bit because
Sure.
that's shift a little bit. I want to talk about what you are doing. Um, and despite being, despite the bias,
Mhm.
despite, being judged by medical providers, you are a life and business coach. And just for that, congratulations to
Oh,
even
thank you.
make that step. Tell me a little bit about your business.
Sure. Yeah. So the Inspired Life Design Studio is the name of my company.
Mm.
And I started it in honor of my father, to honor his legacy, and also my mom. So my father unexpectedly passed away my freshman year of college at the young age of 49. But he instilled in me the principles of just being super generous, giving, and very ambitious. He was a very ambitious man and very entrepreneurial as well. And he had so many ideas and things that he wanted to accomplish. And I remember our last conversations of talking through what he was going to do. And unfortunately, we never saw the end of his life coming. And so it's with that intensity and passion that I pour into the Inspired Life Design Studio, that people need to get after life with intensity, consistency, and with a clear vision of what they want to do, but also what their true gifts are, because that's where, when you combine your true gifts with your strengths and passion, you are unstoppable in achieving your goal. And I just partner with people and help them do that with accountability so they keep the promises that they make to themselves, and so that they can actually build the momentum in not just setting goals, but actually accomplishing them with consistency, much like physical fitness, right? It's coaching is like personal training for the mind. And once you exercise that muscle of accountability, consistency, and getting it done, it's amazing what you can accomplish. And so that's really what the basis of Inspired Life Design Studio is about, working with people to help them gain that traction in their life, or in their business. I do work with several business owners as well who are looking to launch, be profitable, and fund their mission.
That's amazing. And you do all of that in spite of everything that you're going through. And you have children, and you have a husband. And how long have you been married?
16 years. I think this October will be 17, actually.
Oh, wow. Okay. So marriage in it of itself is another success, especially with sickle cell disease. How do you deal with being married and having sickle cell disease?
Yeah, that's a great question, Dima. You're right. It's, as a child, when I had zero self-esteem or confidence and wondered, great, I'm here, but why am I here? And I made just a mistake. I did often wonder who the heck would want to marry me. I always had very jaundiced eyes with the sickle cell. And obviously, I'm like high maintenance, right? So, who could handle that? And then as you become an adult, you realize, oh my gosh, I'm expensive as all get out too, because every hospital visit was extremely expensive. And actually, on my honeymoon, I ended up in the emergency room. So these thoughts were like the fears becoming a reality. But when I put it over in God's hands and I said, you know what, God doesn't make mistakes. And I'm not going to be looking or searching for anyone. I'm just going to let God bring that person to me. And truly, when you work on yourself, I truly believe you start to attract the right people, the right opportunities. And once you have that, it brings all those opportunities into focus when you have that clarity about yourself. And that's what I did. And I met my husband in church, and it wasn't really our decision. We were divinely appointed by God. It was like an arranged marriage, but through God's eyes. And we became the best of friends. We grew up together. I knew his mom before she unfortunately passed away. she was our art teacher in the school, and my dad was the gym teacher and the basketball coach in the school. So he knew my father, and that was really important to me in terms of the bond that we have. And he was really understanding of what sickle cell was and naturally curious to help, when I had a pain crisis, understanding what it was. And my mom actually taught him how to massage. When she's in pain, you got to give her a good deep massage. And it took a while. Sometimes I'd be yelling at him, like, get my mom, because she was a master at massaging when I was in pain. But he learned, and he actually took a massage course online, didn't even tell me, just took training online to learn how to be a really good masseuse for me in pain. And that meant a lot to me. And he still does to this day, give me massages and help with preventative care. So yeah, I mean, marriage has been a natural progression, ups and downs, right? With different personality styles and different pressures. But in terms of managing the sickle cell, he was a partner from the start. When we started dating, he knew that it was it was a part of me, and he'd have to learn how to manage all of me and take on that responsibility as my partner in life. So he stepped up to the plate.
That's good. He's such a good caregiver.
Thanks. Yeah.
He sounds amazing.
Thank you.
And you have a total of how many children?
We have, so 3 of our own, 3 boys, 3 months, which is the newest little munchkin, Ashton. Kellen is 3 years old, and then Landon is 7. And we had the opportunity to actually adopt my husband's younger sister, Alicia, and she's now 26. So she came to stay with us when she was 14, and she's now happily married and on her own. And so, yeah, just really fortunate that I at least had a girl of some form.
That sounds awesome. So before we wrap up this podcast, in honor of you, in honor of the amazing things that you have done and have accomplished, the Through the Pain podcast would like to just honor you with our webpage and a commemorative shirt. As you know, we have our Through the Pain line, and I have Dance Through the Pain and so many other, Worship Through the Pain, so many other different shirts. But in honor of you, we like to give you a shirt that says Inspired Through the Pain.
Oh, I love
that.
And
so you will be featured on the website, and you'll the proceeds from your shirt would be given to another organization. Of course, it'll be a sickle cell organization of your choice. So I feel that you are inspiring or inspired through the pain. And it's an honor of your Inspired Life Design Studios as well. I think you are well deserving and well fitting of having an Inspired Through the Pain commemorative shirt.
Thank you, Dima. That's very generous of you. And I'm so grateful for this opportunity. And I just want to be someone that can help others through my pain, just like you are, a warrior, a champion. And I really do love that opportunity to have Inspired Through the Pain, because that's so true to my story.
Is there anything that you would like to share with the audience before you leave?
I would say that in this time of a lot of oppression, physically is one thing, but mentally what we're experiencing in the world, and we're in the Great Resignation right now, and people are redefining who they are, what they want to do, to sit down with yourself and figure out what it is you want to be known for and what it is you want to accomplish that you don't want to leave this earth without doing. And then figure out who can get you there and how you can get there the fastest and farthest way possible. But never give up. Always know that life wasn't meant to be easy. It was just meant to be lived in spite of the pain. And whatever you're facing, we are all united in the sense that we all face those challenges. And it's just our time and our responsibility to cultivate that pain into purpose and to share your gifts with the world, because they need them right now.
Well, Dana, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for being who you are and being inspired and such an inspiration through the pain.
Thank you, Dima. Thank you for having me.
For tools, merchandise, and additional information, log on to our website, www.throughthepain.org. This has been a Public Praise Media production.